Hi guys, good evening once more. So you're welcome to day 5 of our program. So far so good. This is the last week and I'm really trying my best to see how we can round up a lot of things. Today being Thursday, we have one last session tomorrow Friday to try to see how we can put things together. Like every single thing we've been learning, we put it together and then try to make sense for a typical beginner to be able to know how to approach the chat, right? Yes. So from the very first day we started introduction to Forex, you can check it out on maybe the first video, the first two videos. And then last class, we started talking about support and resistances. Yes, I knew I said I was going to open the group for you guys to send your work, but then I choose not to. So if you have your work, you did your homework, you can send it to my DM, okay? So with that, I'm definitely going to know those who are really, really hardworking and those who really want to push forward. And our intermediate group has already been opened. I don't know what you're waiting for. This is your time to get, let me say, free mentorship. Like, where did you get that? Free mentorship. Yes, we are going to do advanced courses in the intermediate phase, meaning I will try to make you understand these things. You come maybe to my live sessions every day, you hear them. If you don't know anything about them, I'm going to introduce you to them, and then I'm going to teach you like what you need to know for an intermediate student, so that whichever time you want to go maybe for advanced courses, you are definitely going to be fit for it. So today we are going to continue with what we started. We started structures that are formed when your buyers and sellers move in the market. And the first one we spoke about support and resistances. And we said these support zones are formed when buyers come into a particular level, and then that level tends to serve as a what? As a floor to price, meaning price finds support anytime it comes to that area. And then a resistance obviously is a ceiling. Okay, it acts as a barricade to price, meaning it resists price. And how is it formed? It's formed when sellers come into a particular level. For example, you see a lot of black candlesticks here. And I said for reference, black candlesticks here stand for bearish candles or sellers. And then bullish candles stand for buyers. Now, you could customize your own to be different. Maybe you could have red, green, whatever way you want, blue and red. It's your choice. But here, black sellers, blue buyers. For example, like I would say, this whole area here, let's say this is a resistance zone because how was it formed? A resistance zone is obviously formed when sellers come in at a particular area, and then that whole zone now acts as a wall, which if anytime price comes into it, you see sellers coming, like here and then here again, sellers came in. So what is the tendency? The tendency is the moment price is going to come here again, you will see price push to the downside. But then I told you guys that the more something gets used or the more you get familiar with something, the more you would tend to disrespect that thing. Yes, that is a tendency of humans. Yeah, and I will tell you, the buyers and sellers in this market, they are not machines. They are not robots. They are human beings like me and you. So you need to first of all approach the market with a behavioral sense of reasoning. Now, the more you get to use something, the more you understand it. And the more one day will come, you will disrespect that thing. So what do I mean? The more a resistance zone is being reacted upon, what happens? There is a tendency that sometime in future, that place will be disrespected. Yes. Same way as if you're a friend to some ungrateful person, the more you help that person, the more the person will tend to take you for granted. And the day will come when they'll insult you and tell you, what did you even ever do to me? And then you have your eyes to cry. So that's the same thing that happens to resistance and a support zone. And when a resistance zone is being disrespected, what do you get? You get a break and retest. That's what I told you guys yesterday, which is the very first trading strategy. That's the most easiest trading strategy of all times. The break and retest trading strategy. Are you guys with me? Zoom guys, please let me see your thumbs up. Let me see your thumbs up. Let me see your thumbs up, please. Leave a comment. My guys on TikTok, are you guys with me? Okay, perfect. That's beautiful. All right. So the more a support zone or resistance zone is tested upon, there is a high tendency price is going to violate that zone. Okay. So that is how it works. So when a resistance is violated, it becomes a support. When a support zone, for example, say there was a support zone around this area, the moment it gets violated, it also becomes a resistance. And I told you guys the other day that these areas are neither created nor destroyed. They just change forms, okay? They move from a support to resistance, resistance to support, all through across the chart. And I told you that support zones and resistances, they are all fractal. Fractal means if you go to the monthly time frame, you're also going to get a support and resistance. There isn't just a particular time frame where you will see support and resistances. If you go to the monthly time frame, you're going to see support and resistance. You go to the 1 minute time frame, you're going to see support and resistance. Okay? So that's how it is. Or whatever time frame you approach price, you're going to see support zones and resistance zones. Like that. Very easy. That's your first trading strategy. And I also spoke about structure. And I said the market structure is definitely like the skeletal system of the market. The same way as a human being, you have a leg, you have a skull, you have a rib cage, you have a waist, all of those things, that's what makes your skeletal structure. Here, all of these, that's what makes the market skeletal structure. And if you're not able to read it, it means you will never understand it. Same way for a human being. If you are not able to understand your anatomy, I mean, you wouldn't even know what is wrong with you when you're sick. Okay, so that's what it is. That's the first one. Support zones resistances. Then we're going to talk about trend lines, okay, because trend lines are very important. They are dynamic support and resistances. So these ones, they are like static support and resistances. They just move across the zone, but then trend lines are dynamic support and resistances. Now, whether it is coming from down or below, I'm going to tell you. Now, when it's coming from the top, like you see right here, it will be acting as a resistance. And this here is a dynamic resistance. And when it's acting from below, it becomes a dynamic support. So I will also teach you this, how you can draw it on your chart, and then what it means when it's being violated, because it also comes together with the second trading strategy, which is the trend line break and retest. Okay, so you have two kinds of break and retest. You have support zones break and retest, resistance zone break and retest, and trend line break and retest, or the trend line trading strategy. Now, if there's one thing I'm doing as I go forward is I teach you one concept and then I teach you the trading strategy. I teach you one concept, I teach you the trading strategy. It makes life easy and it makes comprehension very, very easy. I also taught you candlestick. I believe that's like lesson number 3. If you have not watched it, go and watch. Go and watch. So I'll take all of this out and then we are going to talk about a trend line. Now, first and foremost, we always say that you will either see price on an uptrend, downtrend, or sideways. Sideways is basically going to be like this. Voila. So either price is on the downtrend, uptrend, or sideways. Now, when it is sideways, it is neither doing what? It's neither forming higher highs or higher lows. And then I did not even teach you higher highs and higher lows. Now, let me introduce you to higher highs and higher lows. Now, when price is going down, what does it form? It forms lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs. And when price is going up, it forms higher lows and higher highs. I'm going to tell you the trick so that you don't get messed up when it comes to understanding this. Like I said, when price is on a downtrend, it forms a what? Here, this is a lower low, okay? So we are going to write that LL, lower low. Now, if this is a lower low, what is this going to become? This is obviously a low that is higher than this current low. So you call it a lower high. So the trick here is, so long as price is on a downtrend, and the first is always an L. The first letter is always an L. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. This is your last lower low. This is your last lower high. Now, how is an uptrend formed? An uptrend is formed when like this. This is your last lower low here, and this is your last lower high. When price violates a lower high, what does it form? It forms now what we call a higher high. So there's that substitution that happens there, and then an L is being thrown through the window, and then you get H8, higher high. Now, when you start moving like this, you have this higher high. What do you have here? The trick is, so long as price is on an uptrend, this low is obviously a low that is high. Okay, so you call it a higher low. It's actually a low, but then it's high. So you have higher highs, you have higher lows. And what do you have here? You have lower highs, you have lower lows. So this is just the work you have to do. Go to your chart, pick out these levels, okay? Learn them because it's very important, especially for you that you're planning to go to the next phase, which is the intermediate phase. Make sure you know this because when we start doing intermediate courses, these will all have names, okay? We are going to have other names for them. And you realize that before price moves from this downtrend to an uptrend, there's a lot which is formed. Yes, I'm recording. I'm recording. I'm going to put it on YouTube this evening. So you have lower lows, lower highs, higher lows, and then in consolidation, prices need creating a higher high, a higher low, a lower high, or a lower low. So in this case, price is accumulating or it is consolidating. Now, how do trend lines come across or how are they formed? When price touches, like price is on a downtrend, for example, this is the first thought, this is the second thought. When price creates a dynamic resistance like this, having two adjacent lines, the third one is obviously forming a trend line. A trend line is that line that has two touches for its creation, and then the third touch here is a true touch on your trend line, and that is when you are supposed to take a trade. Now, that's how you trade a trend line practically. You need to get two adjacent levels that connect with each other. Okay, and also trend lines are not lines like one straight line, they are zones. Everything equal zones. Okay, you will not just come into the market and they see two straight lines like this. No, you need 2 points that connect themselves to each other, and then when you pull out the next, okay, because by then this area here price has not reacted to it, you don't know. You don't know, okay? Price just ended from this point. So you will be targeting that the moment price sits back around this third trend line touch around this area, what are you going to do? You're going to take a sell position. Now you're entering a sell from there. Your TP is price, first of all, making a new lower low like this. And then your SL is basically above your trend line. And then you are in a very beautiful trade. It's difficult. It's not difficult. But then when you practicalize it in the real market, first of all, to pick out this third trend line thought, it's not the easiest. That's why you need an intermediate course because most of the times when I come here on live and I talk about a failure swing, most of you open your eyes and look at me and tell me, what is a failure swing? So if you want to know what a failure swing is and how it leads to the third trend line thought, you need that lesson, hook or crook. Because if you don't even know it, you will never know how to come up with a third trend line thought. Now, the more price tends to react on a what? On a trend line, it makes it to also lose value. So imagine price came here again. This would have been the fourth time, okay? This would have been the fourth time price is reacting around that area. You take another sell. The more price tends to what? The more price tends to react around this zone, there is also a tendency that price will disrespect it. Like we always say, the more you are available for someone, the more they will disrespect you. That's why in this life, do not be too available. The more available you are, the more you will be disrespected. True or false? True, right? True. That's true. Now, if that is true, it means that this your dynamic resistance that has been acting as a sell zone, as a sell zone, as a sell zone. Now, you guys are already too used to it because you know anytime price comes here, you're going to make free money. You're going to sell, you're going to sell, you're going to sell. Now, these market makers, okay, These market makers are people who really they toy around us retail traders. I believe I did not even talk about this during our introduction, that there are several participants in this market. But then we are going to talk about that detailedly in intermediate courses, because that's where you're going to know the role of each and every player. Okay? Now, the more price tends to react around the zone, what happens? It's already becoming too useless or valueless, okay? And then there is a tendency for a break. Now, this is what you call a trend line break and retest, meaning a trend line that was supporting sellers now becomes a trend line where buyers have to take a buy from. And how does it work? Remember, this is your lower high. So when price violates the lower high, forming a higher high, it has disrespected the trend line, and price has to come back that trend line and then react from there. So what are you going to do? You're going to take a buy. The moment price comes back to that area, you put your SL below that area, and then you target the new higher high like this. That will be your target, a new higher high. So that is what happens along the chart. Same way price has this dynamic resistance, that's how it has a dynamic support. Now, a dynamic support is a trend line that's from under. Now, remember, when price is on a downtrend, what are you only supposed to do? You are only supposed to sell. So it is madness for price to be on a downtrend like this, and then you pick a trend line like this. You draw this trend line. I know it's looking like a tunnel and it makes sense, but then it doesn't make sense. Why? Because you will be taking a counter trend trade anytime price finds itself on that trend line. And when price is on the downtrend, you don't counter trend. Those who know me, they know me. If you have been here with me, you know that you don't counter trend when price is on the downtrend. That is why I disqualify this. I disqualify this. The only time you pick out and you draw a support trend line, that's when price is on an uptrend, so that it will permit you to take trades in line with the dominant side of the market. You guys here in TikTok, please, if you haven't followed me, then at least do me some justice, right? I believe I've been teaching you a lot of valuable info. Some things that you guys are always going to go and pay, like pay for this thing. Don't try it. Okay, so please, if you're just coming here for the first time, please follow and then we go together. All right. So a trend line, a support trend line, obviously it's used to put in more buyers. For example, this. How does it form? You need two adjacent levels. That's level one. Then this was level two. Now when you take it forward, it gives you level three, and then you buy from there. So the third trend line thought is the true thought of a trend line. Myself, when I see price comes into a trend line the third time, and I'm so sure of that trend line, myself, I buy. Okay, I'm a small money trader. I love trading smart money, but then I always use my trend lines as confluences to my ideas. It makes life super easy. Even though you never see it on my chart, but then I know when a trend line is passing around a certain area. I know I can see it from my naked chart. Okay, so it is formed when you have two adjacent levels. The third one is your true trend line thought, and you take a trade from there. For example, here you would have bought from here, you target the next higher high as TP. And then when price is in a consolidation, what do? You don't take a trade. You have no business trading this market. Why are you taking a trade? The only time you take a buy is when price is on an uptrend. The only time you take a sell when price is on a downtrend. You don't trade counter trends. For example, if price is on a buy, you don't take a sell for price to come back to the zone. No. No, 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 no. Under my vocabulary, pips must be wasted so that you can become disciplined. Okay? Pips must be wasted so that you become really, really disciplined. I saw this trend line in BTC yesterday and it bought from there. Very good. You have not understood, you're confused. Oh, I'm going to send you guys that candlestick Bible, though it's already in the chat. Repeat what you said earlier. Now, what you're going to do is you're just kindly going to rewatch the video after I post it on YouTube. Does it make life easy? That's why I'm recording, right? So you kindly go back and then rewatch the video all over again so that please you will understand. These concepts are very easy. Now, this is the graphical representation. Now, coming to your chart, pick out this area. That is where you feel heat. Okay? This is where you feel the heat because you will never know where something is going to happen. It takes experience and practice to get all of this right on the live market. Because in the live market, a downtrend isn't this very smooth. Mm-mm. This is how a downtrend looks like. Are you seeing? Are you seeing how crazy it looks like? That's it. And an uptrend isn't this smooth. No, it is crazy. You see how crazy it is? Yes, that's the reality of the live market. So I'm here on the early time frame. You don't pick lines on lower time frames because the lower the time frame, the weaker it is. Now, if you want to trade trend line, you pick them from higher time frame perspective. So I'm going to cancel everything here, and then we're going to go to like the daily time frame. Let's see whether we could pick out these trend lines from here. Okay. So this is daily time frame. Remember, I told you that the lower the time frame, whether support or resistance, whatever the case, there is a high tendency that price is going to violate that thing. So always learn to pick your your trend lines, your support zones, resistance zones. Thank you so much, Lomita. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So the best time to pick these areas is from the high time frame. If you can pick a trend line or support and resistance zone from the daily time frame, it means that there is a high tendency price is going to react on that area. Now, this is a very, very nice trend line on this dollar index daily time frame. Now, how was it formed? What do I need? I need two adjacent levels. We are going to go to the line chart. Now, on the line chart, drawing a trend line is so easy. Why? Because you get the naked chart without wicks. You get a naked chart without wicks. Now, you realize that this is my first two touches. This is one, this is two. Now, where is the next one? This is it. Remember, it is a zone and not a line. Because if it is a line, you would think that this second area was not valid. It was valid. This is where it started. This is where it started. And then this is the third trend line thought. This is the fourth trend line thought. This is the fifth trend line thought. This is the sixth trend line thought. This is the seventh trend line thought. Now, all of this is a zone. Okay? This is a zone that has been controlling price. It has been acting as a what? It has been acting as a dynamic support. A dynamic support, when they say something is dynamic, it means it is moving. Dynamic means moving. Static means on one spot. Dynamic means moving. Okay, so the best representation that you can get like this trend lines is very beautiful on a line chart because line charts have no weeks. Line charts have no weeks, while this area then candlesticks have a combination of weeks like this and that. Now you realize that this is how it looks like on the candlestick. So the first touch was your second touch, you get the third touch, get the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. Now this is a seven. Now what did I tell you guys? That the more price tends to react on the trend line, what happens to it? What happens to it? Let me see your answers, please. You know physics. I used to be a physicist. Maybe you did not know. I did sciences in high school. So I am a physicist, I am a chemist, and I used to be a mathematician. Not even used to till now. Yes, answer your question. What happened to this trend line? What will happen? The more price gets to that trend line, okay, it will violate, it will break. The more it becomes weaker, the weaker it becomes. Exactly. Exactly. So there is already a tendency that this thing is going to be violated. Now, this is current price action on the US dollar index. Now, do you realize that all our analysis on sell dollar index is right? Because price has the tendency to break lower. This is already too much. Now, this is a dynamic support. Small meaning it has been carrying price. It has been carrying price. Imagine you are just 20 years old or 25 years old, and they give you a bag of cement. A bag of cement is like 25 kilos, right? and then they pull on you. At least you can manage. Before you know, they add another one, another 25 kilos, another second bag of cement, the third bag of cement, the fourth bag of cement, the fifth bag of, see, you die. You will die. True or false? How many how many kilos can you even carry? How many kilos can you carry? A bag of cement is 50 kg, you see? You will perish. Exactly. You perish. So support zone has been carrying price until it is tired. It is tired already. Support zone will perish. This support trend line is going to perish. Now, like I said, when price is on an uptrend and you have seen price forming this higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Now, price is at the verge of breaking. Now, when it starts breaking, it's going to violate a what? It will violate a higher low, and it will form a lower low, and then start forming lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and then you realize that uptrend switches to downtrend. Now, the last thing I'm going to teach you guys tomorrow will be chart patterns, okay? Because an example of a chart pattern which is playing out right now is the double top pattern, like this. You call it double top or you call it the M pattern. And this is a pattern that indicates a reversal from an uptrend to a downtrend. And then you have the W pattern that indicates what? That indicates a reversal from a downtrend to an uptrend. So all of these are patterns. You have head and shoulder patterns. You have these. Now I'm going to teach you guys these patterns and also teach you the disadvantages of trading patterns. Like I said, that's why you need the intermediate course. If you are not yet in that group, make sure you find yourself this evening. I will not stream it here on TikTok. So those who think they are laughing at me in the background, that they are just going to come to TikTok, and I will not stream it on TikTok. I will not post it on YouTube. I'm going to create a separate Telegram channel just for those who are there so that I will send them the recording and they can always rewatch over and over. That's on period. Yes, lesson 1 to 4 is already on YouTube. Okay, so at what point do you trade trend lines? Now, I don't trade trend lines. Right now, I use trend lines for liquidity purposes. Now, I don't want to talk about liquidity because that will jeopardize your lesson. I just want you to focus. You're being stingy. Thank you so much. I'm not being stingy. You just have to meet up the criteria. That's all. Add message, a group, leave a message on WhatsApp. Now, so we have marked out this level. This is your dynamic support, which is your trend line. Like I said, there's no way you should mark this thing because the moment you mark this, you are going to be trading the sales. You're going to be trading the sales, and it is wrong. When price is on an uptrend, you trade only the buys. These sales here, the pips must be wasted. But then truly, myself, I traded these sales, but then I traded it with a lot of wisdom. Yes. Because I trade dollar index intraday, meaning I trade it every day. When price is buying, I know. When price is selling, I also know. And then this is the higher time frame, like this is the daily time frame. Okay. That is why if I know that on the daily time frame, price is giving me this, or is price is in this sell phase, I will sell from the higher time frame point of view, but then I will not counter trend this daily time frame sell for a 1H buy. I hope you understand the difference. That's the difference. So this whole movement is a very, very big movement. For example, on the 4H time frame, let me show you. So it is very tradable. Like see the movement. Very, very tradable. Now, the mistake most people will do is you'll be taking a counter trend trade on the daily time frame, and then on the 1H, you want to also take a counter trend trade to the counter trend daily time frame trade. That's madness. So we're going to talk more of that as we keep moving. So, what is your homework today? Your homework is map out your trend line. Go to your chart, look for these trend lines. All you need are two connecting zones that will tell you that, oh, price is going to do this. For example, let me say I'm using this one as my number one. I'm using this. Okay, that's my number one. This is my number two. And then I will say number three should be around this zone for a sell. You just need to pick this area. And now when the market has already moved, it makes life really, really easy because you can always pick the zones even with your eyes open. For example, on the line chart, for clarity, always go to your line chart. On your line chart, what did I have? One, two, three, four, five. So that was a clear what? A clear resistance. That was a resistance. And what happened? It put in sellers. So always when price comes into that level, it puts in sellers. When price comes into that level, it puts in sellers. When price still comes there, it puts in sellers. And then it goes. Are you saying? It's hard to swing with small accounts. Just depends what you're doing. Today was bank holiday. Nothing much happened to the market. Most of our analysis are still static. They haven't done so much. But then tomorrow we come and then we see how price is going to move. See you guys. That's what you have as your trend line. Remember, when price is on a downtrend, mark only resistance trend line. When price is on an uptrend like this, you are supposed to mark only this support trend lines. Why? Because you don't counter trend. If price is on an uptrend, you take only a buy. When price is on a downtrend, you take only a sell. All right. Now, trend lines too are very factor. It means if I have a daily trend line here, but I could go on a 1 inch time frame, I could also see a trend line. It's not just you don't pick trend lines only on a daily time frame, but then I told you guys that the higher the time frame where you pick that trend line, the more valuable it is. Okay, the more valuable it is, meaning price has a tendency of respecting it more than an early trend line. So this here on the daily time frame has more weight compared to that on the alley, or that on the 30 minutes, or that on the 40. Bond market has closed, you were buying. It's back holiday. Do you even track your Forex factory? Go and check your calendar. All right, you guys. So that is that for today. I believe you've learned something. Now, whoever doesn't want to come to class, the joke should be on them because I'm not going to pursue any person. Whoever wants to watch the lesson after, that's also on them. But then from next class, I mean from next week, we are going to have the intermediate. It's going to run for the first 2 weeks of December. I want to sacrifice my December to finish it, and then from last 2 weeks of December, I'm going to enjoy myself because I didn't come in this life to suffer and to kill myself with Forex. So that's it. I'm going to send that candidate Bible. I'm going to block my speaker. I don't think so. Anyways, you guys have a good night. You guys on TikTok, you just hang in for 1 second. I'm going to drop this call here on Zoom and then we continue. You guys have a good night here. You can join Zoom. I mean, you can join us on TikTok right now. I'm going to post your lesson right the next minute. Bye.